Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Hello and welcome again to MotorWeek podcast number 132. I'm John Davis, and joining me today, our writer-producer Brian Robinson.
Hello.
Our road test producer Ben Davis.
Hello there.
Our writer Patrick Lucas.
Hello, hi there.
And our special guest, one of our top video editors, Joe Ligo.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, nice. Thanks for joining us. And Joe is here because for one of the three vehicles we're going to talk about today. We're going to cover the 2016 Tesla P90D, the 2016 Nissan Titan XD, that's the one with the Cummins diesel, and a 2016 Jaguar F-Type S. This is the V6 manual everyone was waiting for. Let's jump right in with the Tesla P90D. Okay, I'm going to start this off. This is, by some estimates, one of the fastest production cars around. Several magazines have said it's the fastest four-door that they've ever tested. It has a 0 to 60 estimated and claimed by Tesla of, 2.7?
Motor Trend did a 2.6.
2.7 seconds.
Track, one of them.
And we got about 4 seconds, which is still darn fast. But basically, a combination of things. We have a track that is not in prime condition. And also, Ben, the traction control system combined with that to kind of keep you. Tell us about when you put the pedal to the metal to the Tesla, it didn't really go.
It's still all the power's there right off the line, so it still gives you a good jolt. But it seems like their traction system is extremely smart and knows exactly how much traction it's dealing with at a fraction of a second, and will deal you out enough power to give you a thrill ride, but also keep itself out of the wall or out of trouble.
It's
my
erring
assessment.
On the side of safety. That's your assessment.
100%. It won't give you more than you can handle, for sure. It still gives you, like I said, and I think anybody who really hasn't experienced a 2.6 0 to 60 on the street,
it's like a bike,
would think their 4 seconds is 2.6 because it's
wasn't that
aggressive.
Many years ago then we hadn't seen a car that did 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. So were you impressed though with, you called it almost a whiplash experience?
Oh yeah, it's 100% of your torque's there at the drop of a pedal, and with no engine noises to accompany, your body and all your senses really aren't really ready for it, and they're a little shocked.
It feels like an on-off switch.
Yeah,
like
took Joe down the track in it.
Yeah, the thing I compared it to, and it sounds silly, was kind of like the e-Golf. Is like the e-Golf is a junior sort of version of that experience, but it's like an on-off switch. You don't have that kind of like half second of.
Oh no, you're getting basically 100% of your torque in a millisecond or so.
Yeah,
it's like a roller coaster launch.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, because it just pulls differently. Even if there's other cars that do 0 to 60 in that same amount of time, it just feels different. It's a different kind of pull.
So what's the point of this car? Is it just to be ludicrous?
Yeah, it's the software update that makes it happen. Yeah, why not? If you can do it, why not do it? And why not give it a cool name like that it seems like everybody I run into knows about.
Let's look at another part of this car, which frankly I think to most owners will be even more important on a daily basis, and that is the all-wheel drive system. I mean, that basically brings all-wheel drive to the Tesla four-door sedan, and that's something, especially up here in the Northeast, is going to be a big deal. Mm-hmm. And a forerunner of the Model X. So did you have any comment about how that system worked? Obviously, you weren't in any bad weather.
Right. It seemed to work without any kind of artificial, I wouldn't say artificial feel, but it didn't seem any different from a rear-wheel drive to me. It functioned great in normal everyday use, and there was no heavy binding from up front.
And there's separate electric motors for each axle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, smaller one up front, bigger one in the rear.
Mm-hmm. So it's rear bias.
We're talking about 0 to 60 times and how fast it is, but you drive it on the highway when you're already going 60 and you want to get to like 80 or dare I say 90,
more.
It's just as quick. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you want to pass somebody or you're on like an exit ramp or not an exit ramp, like an entry ramp. Ridiculous. I mean, it's insane.
Right, yeah.
Or ludicrous.
Ludicrous. It pulls kind of the same way at 60 as it does at at 0, which is kind of cool because there's not a lot of cars.
It's an equally as bizarre feeling to be going that fast and get that much faster.
So when the Tesla folks take this drivetrain and put it in the Model X, I wonder if it'll be the first sub 3 second crossover.
Let's hope not.
I mean, there's what's stopping them? Nothing that I can think
hope it has
of.
good stability control.
The rest of the car, I mean, they've gotten haven't had a lot of quality problems with interiors, with the big touchscreen. There's a lot of stuff on the internet that I can't say I'm surprised, but I think it doesn't always get reported. But when we first got in the Model S, we were all very impressed at what it looked like and the fit and finish, Mercedes, BMW quality. Anything about that changed or better or worse?
Well, you said Mercedes, BMW quality. I think they went rooting around in the Mercedes parts bin because that shifter on the steering column
Mercedes parts
is directly from a Mercedes. And I'm not going to say I wasn't impressed, but I mean, because it was certainly comfortable and nice, and the fit and finish was pretty good from what I could tell in my limited time, but I wasn't blown away by it.
Is it because things have gotten better since
I
they
just
first
think
came out?
everything we've driven in the past year or two since the last time we were in one has...
That's the
I mean,
problem.
design of
Interiors.
that car started in like 2011, 2012, and it does feel like it sounds snobbish to say it, but it does feel like it's kind of stuck in 2013 and the rest of the automotive world is not.
Joe and I were commenting when we were driving that the gigantic touchscreen is impressive to show your friends at first and things, but after living with it for a few hours, that it becomes too big to be functional on the go, and that it really hinders the shape, any kind of
You just want a button.
better shape. Yeah,
You just want buttons.
Smaller screen and more design.
I saw talked to a couple that's got one of the first Model S's, and I asked them, I said, do you routinely take longest trips? And it's a retired couple, so you have to understand where this came from. And they said yes, they did, that they were, drove about 600 to 700 miles a day. And I'm thinking, but they have to plan their trip between the superchargers. So they're doing 200 miles, stopping for 45 minutes, I guess, then 200 miles or whatever it is. I mean, this car is spectacular, but it's very difficult. We have another friend that had one, and he basically couldn't get over saying it was basically a glorified golf cart, no matter what you did to it. So, I mean, right now it's one very fast golf cart. But do you think that what does this car need besides a lower price to become a phenomenon, or is it already one?
I think they've got the phenomenon part down. They just need to turn it into a mainstream vehicle.
Which I guess
that would be my take.
I agree with you. It needs to go from phenomenon to moneymaker is the next step.
Well, that supposedly is going to be, what's the small one supposed to be called? The 3?
Model 3.
Yeah, so we'll see. Anyway, P90D, no slouch, whether you can get traction at our track or not. Pretty impressive vehicle. Moving on to another vehicle, which has stirred up its own little share of controversy. This is the 2016 Nissan Titan XD. This is the new, I'm not going to use the word heavier duty Titan pickup truck. This is the first one with the Cummins V8 turbo diesel in it. Everyone's had a chance to spend a little bit of time with it. What do you think? Is it a heavy duty truck, a light duty, a betweener? Does it make any difference? What do you think?
I'll go to Ben on this one. He's the Titan expert.
I would say it's an in-betweener. It's definitely, the tow ratings are up there with heavier duty trucks than
at the low
than
rating,
a half ton.
at the low end.
Yeah. It did have I believe it did have 8 lug wheels on it or 6 lug wheels? I can't remember offhand.
Good question.
I think it had 6 lug wheels, which would indicate a little heavier duty than half ton.
Half ton. Certainly not a half ton truck.
And with the goose, it had a gooseneck. It had a built-in gooseneck
You could put
features.
a gooseneck on it.
That indicates in-betweener to me. Mm-hmm. It was a well-done truck all around.
I like it. I think it's certainly a lot sturdier looking and feeling than the original one, but when you close the doors, it just didn't have that solidity feeling that you get with an HD from one of the big three. At least I didn't think so.
Well,
there was something about the feeling.
I think they're marketing it. I had to sit through their presentations and all that stuff because I went on the trip. But They're marketing it as an in-betweener, so they're not really going after they're going after like a heavy-duty truck buyer that wants a light-duty truck comfort, or they're going after a light-duty truck buyer that wants a little more capability. So they're not really going after heavy-duty trucks in particular.
What do you think about the powertrain? I mean, that's the whole story here.
I thought it was pretty stout. It's clearly not a heavy-duty level of torque, but I thought it was pretty stout. The government considers
it's no Cummins 6-cylinder, in other words.
The government considers it heavy-duty because its GVRW is high enough not to require fuel economy ratings. So I don't know if that means anything.
Well, it just shows you how far we've come with heavy-duty trucks. They're now medium-duty trucks.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you compare it to a heavy duty from 2001 or whatever, and it's probably bigger than most of them and can tow more.
It tows 12.3, which is kind of right, as everyone's saying, kind of tweener. Half tons max out about 12.5, and that's where heavy duties pick up. So
I like the powertrain, though. I thought it was strong, quiet for the most part. Transmission seems well matched to it. I mean, frankly think they'll probably sell every one they can make. I'm sure. Yeah. The interior was nice too. Talk about that a little bit. So we've been in a lot of pickup trucks lately. How did you think that interior compares to, well, we've been in Silverados and Rams. Haven't been too long ago since we were in the new F-150.
Yeah, it seemed every door handle or switch was just that much nicer than what I've seen lately in the American trucks, and just a big combination of all those little slightly nicer parts equaled a bigger all-around picture for me.
It was the ultimate Platinum Reserve trim, though. I'd be interested in seeing like a base.
But at least it brought it.
The only gripe I had was there was a lack of USB plugins. There was only one, I think, in the entire cab, which is a little surprising, considering that they have like one of their big marketing points is that they have like 16 cup holders in the car or something like that. So the 16 cup holders and one USB port.
Nothing in the back seat?
Not that I can remember. Or if it was, there was one up front and one in the back, which still didn't scream.
Did you look in the
totally
center
practical.
console too?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because like Chevy has like 50, you have 15 different kinds of outlets at your Chevy console.
A small office in that.
They went a long way. You were telling us off mic, Patrick, that they went a long way into saying this is not the regular Titan. From what we know and what you were exposed to, the biggest difference between this and the regular Titan, besides the engine, is the frame.
They said it some way where they're either sharing the same frame and different chassis, or they're sharing the chassis but different frame. I think that's
well.
What
the frame is different,
right? So they're different frames.
The look of the basic
chassis.
Body panels are similar,
right? So they went out of their way to say this Titan XD is not the new Titan.
I was looking at the outgoing Titan, and boy, does it look dated. Whew. I mean, it's time for a change, and I think people will be happy with this that are interested in something other than one of the big three trucks. Okay, moving on now to something, shall we say, a little more fun. One of the biggest problems we had with the F-Type from Jaguar when we first got a chance to test it was the lack of a manual. The manual's here now with the V6 only. Worth the wait? Is it the correct motor to attach it to? Did it make it feel more like if I use the word sports car, don't throw something at me. I won't say affordable sports car. What do you think?
I love this engine. Not only do I think it's the correct motor to put the manual behind, I think it's the correct motor for the F-Type, honestly.
Agreed. 100%.
I don't know why you'd buy the V8 from.
It sounds a lot better. The power was there all the time. Torque was perfect for everyday use.
On a previous show, we talked about whether Volvo is back. Is Jaguar back? I mean,
I thought it was surprisingly easy to drive this manual. I was a little intimidated when I first got in, but then, yeah, it doesn't overwhelm you. It's very easy to drive. Even like getting stuck in traffic's not terribly difficult. Obviously, it looks just as good, sounds just as good. So why wouldn't you do this? It's cheaper anyway than getting a V8.
I think it sounds better.
Seems like the secret to success for Volvo and Jag was to get out from under Ford.
Well, I think the big reason is just the owners are dumping a ton of money into them and letting them do what they do best.
And to give Ford its credit, when Ford took over both companies, they taught them how to build a modern car in an efficient way. That was the hard part. Once that's done, now you've got people coming in with and spending the money on design and not basically rebuilding the factory. And I only know that because I've read a lot about the Jaguar and Ford tie-up. And apparently when Ford bought it, they walked in and basically they were still building a car like they did in the 1950s. So, yeah, and I suspect Volvo was probably having some of the same issues. But now you have to admit that the new owners are leaving hands off, it seems like, and just bumping money in between the Indians and the Chinese. They're doing a really great job. Any other comments on F-Type?
Is the manual no-cost option, or is it discounted? No.
Don't know. Good question. We should know, but we don't know. Any way you look at it, I'm sure if you want one, they will be hard to come by. I can't imagine the dealers going out of their way to make sure they order one. But at least if you're on the East Coast, if you want one, I'm sure you can also get one. Okay, let's move on now to our lightning round, where all of us at the table here have about 2 minutes to debate trending automotive topics. When the time's up, they're going to hear the sound of the bell. Ding dong. Which kind of bell are we going to use this week?
I don't know. We'll see what Final Cut.
We'll see what virtual bell will ring. We recently got news that Porsche is going ahead with its own electric hot rod to go up against the Tesla P90D and others. They're calling it the Mission E. We've just talked about the P90D. Hopefully when the Porsche Mission E gets here, we'll have a little bit better traction. But here's the gist. Will they or some other established brand totally dominate Tesla once they enter the field? In other words, are they going to take the shine away from Tesla if they are serious competition? This is high-end luxury performance area. EVs are ripe for serious competition in this area. So suppose you've got Mercedes and Audi, and here we go with Porsche, somebody going after Tesla. Is it going to be hard for Tesla to stay afloat? What do you think? In that area, to stay exclusive?
I don't think so. I think that's still part of the Tesla appeal, that is that it's not a traditional car company.
I feel like they're at least one step ahead. So by the time the Mission E comes out in 2019, 2020, Tesla already have their third car out. And I just feel like, at least for now,
which will be a cheaper car, and won't that be, they're talking $30,000 here, and won't that be a problem with diluting the mystique of the brand? That's one of the reasons a lot of analysts think they've held back on that third car.
It could be, but their mission statement from the beginning was that their goal was to build a $30,000 car. For the masses, that it was just trickled down. They had to build them, just like iPhones. They're going to build the expensive one, and then 5 years later, everybody has one.
But you're missing my point. If they're going to build an inexpensive car that's 200-mile range or whatever it is, and they're also trying to sell a six-figure car, not too many people are able to do that. Matter of fact, is anybody else able to do that outside of maybe Audi?
Yeah, it is. I guess it would cause a big problem, I see, with the fact that they give their customers such special treatment. I mean, it's easy to do all these elaborate repairs and recalls and fixes and tweaks when you only have, a couple thousand Model S owners. But once you are selling 500,000 cars, 200,000 cars, can you? Yeah, I guess that would be hard.
Well, I wouldn't put anything by Mr. Musk, that's for sure. He's certainly a brilliant individual. But I think it does make you wonder if Mission E and others join that market, how much, whether Tesla will even have the money to keep up with them. Because after all, they're not making any money except through credits right now on the cars. So, anything else? Or we seemed like we didn't get a lot of opinions from around the table.
Something from the other side of the table.
I would think Porsche. I think Porsche would definitely take the upper level market for sure.
Personally, I can't wait to see it.
If you got a Panamera, if you could get a Panamera that was as fast as an S, a Tesla Model S.
Yeah, you've already got everything else that works about that.
It would
car
trump them in
well.
style and comfort, and let's face it, people doling out six figures, they like style and comfort.
I've said a long time, and I still think it's true, that Tesla's salvation is going to be somebody bigger than them is going to buy them up and buy that technology and then have the money to really, exploit it.
They're going to start making gasoline-powered cars.
It'll be a separate division, I bet. Okay, let's move on to our viewer question. Jeff writes in and says, is there a mileage limit or time limit when a failed seatbelt latch is no longer covered by manufacturer? I was once told it is one thing that is a lifetime covered from failure. If so, is this a government guideline, or is there even a guideline at all? Anyone have any factual knowledge on this?
I have no factual knowledge.
I think you have to look at what's going on in the world today and say that if there is a safety defect, which is what you're talking about here, no matter who says what, there is no timeline to when the government could step in and order a recall. It's very much like the aircraft business. Over the years, the FAA has called and grounded aircraft for all sorts of reasons. I guess that would be the NTSB as well. But anyway, they've often found fault with an airplane that was made 50, 60, 70 years ago and forced the manufacturer, if they're still around, to fix it, or whoever holds the rights to it. So I don't think you have to worry, Jeff. If there's a problem in your with the seatbelt latch in your vehicle, I think if it comes to light that it's defective, it will get fixed. Anybody have any?
I'm not sure that
thing.
We were talking about massive scale defection. I think he's talking about a specific one seatbelt in one car.
Well, he probably is, but
and I don't think that's that's warranted forever. I mean, I can't take my '68 Mustang in and tell them that the seatbelt no longer works and can get a new one.
If you went into a dealer and you said, "Hey, my seatbelt latch is broken," you don't think they'd try and accommodate you somehow, shape, or form?
I'm pretty sure that I've had that exact experience in my wife's Kia, and they did tell me I was out of luck.
I had the same experience.
They can't warranty that stuff forever.
I think it
they
must
can't
vary.
warranty it forever, but the government can force you to call
if it's
it
a
back
massive
forever.
scale, but not on
Mazda. I had a similar situation in Miata where Mazda absolutely did give me. I had a jammed passenger seat buckle on my Miata it had like 250,000 miles on it. It was really old. They said, "Yeah, that's covered for the length of the car." And they gave me a new one. So it's clearly maker to maker.
Sounds like an answer.
So, Jeff, the answer is if it's a massive recall, it probably will be covered. But otherwise, it's a manufacturer to manufacturer as far as we know, and we did actually try and look this up. So if your dealer is telling you no go, I would take the next step and call the 800 number in the back of your owner's manual and talk to somebody at the factory. You may get an entirely different response.
Or try another dealer if you want to do that before that.
Okay, rant and rave, anyone? Anyone got anything that they'd like to get off their chest this week?
Nothing, Joe.
Yeah, Joe,
come on, Joe. Come
Bring
on.
it.
Guest
That's part of the requirement of being the guest contributor.
Well, there is one thing I want to rave about.
All right.
That's a good thing.
That's good. We haven't had to
Can't be Tesla related.
No, it's not. It actually it has
AMC
to do. No, it's not AMC related. For the man talk.
Jeff is our resident automotive historian, along with being a brilliant editor.
Well, thank you. But no, one thing I want to rave about on the video side is I love watching like our retro reviews.
We got to pat ourselves on the back here.
We not quite. I was going to pat our viewers on the back. I love reading the stories people post on our YouTube channel about the old cars we share clips of.
And that's because of this kid next to me who has my last name, but basically is no relation. Weren't you the one that started posting our retro reviews, Ben?
Basically, and it was kind of a reaction to Jalopnik doing it.
Who did a really good job with them.
Yeah, because people were like taking old VHS tapes of MotorWeek and uploading it to YouTube, and we said, well, why shouldn't we do this? But I love reading the stories. People like you post like the most random car. We uploaded like old like GM's entire model line road test.
Oh, and here's stuff where you see at the beginning of each year.
Here's people saying like, oh, my mom had a Citation like that, and it caught fire, and it's so much. So I want to thank all the viewers I want to rave about our viewers who share these stories because it's fun. It's fun for a guy like me who wasn't around back when those cars were being made to see that hear the funny stories people share about them.
The interesting thing about what's happened in the last several years, especially with the new members of the staff like Joe and Ben and Patrick here, is you've looked at our archives and saw new uses for them and given them new life. And, we're now up to over 1 million YouTube hits a month, which is due solely to the fact that we're putting a lot of these retro reviews up. So thank you all. That's pretty spectacular. If you haven't had a chance to dive into our YouTube channel, you could probably spend a whole year just surfing through them. There's a lot of retro stuff on there. And Ben, I guess you're putting up more all the time.
Yeah, Joe's taken over the reins lately.
We argue over what cars to put up. So Ben,
don't put them all up at once.
No, early 90s stuff.
Yeah,
early 90s. Were there any decent cars made in the early 90s?
That's kind of the fun part.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
that there aren't. So then you, like I said, you hear these stories from people. It's like, oh, I had a Mitsubishi Starion, that kind of stuff.
All right, thanks, guys, and thank you, everyone, for being a part today. Our writer-producer, Brian Robinson, our road test producer, Ben Davis, our writer, Patrick Lucas, and Joe Ligo, our editor, who stopped by to be a part. I'd like to thank also our podcast creator, Bob Mixter, our podcast producer, Patrick Lucas, and sitting in for our audio engineer, Jim Bigwood, today is David Wainwright. And David, thanks for stepping up and letting us use your facility and making us sound halfway intelligent when we can't do that on our own. To all of you out there that watch, listen, or however you digest Motor Week, thank you. It's been 35 wonderful years. We're here because you want us to stay here. And no matter whether you watch us or hear us or read us or pull us up on your phone, we want to thank you for being a part of our family. Until next time, for all of us at Motor Week, be safe. And remember, it's you and your life behind the wheel. See you soon.
You have been listening to the podcast of Motor Week, television's original automotive magazine. Motor Week is made possible by TireRack.com. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch Motor Week, television's longest-running automotive magazine series, each week on your local PBS station.